Hi everyone, good evening. So as I mentioned in my post, I have been watching the Sounds True Wisdom of the Body Summit this week, and I was particularly impressed with Wendy Palmer's presentation on how the way we sit and stand can change the way that we think and speak. And so I wanted to share some of her tips and tools with you because I found them to be not only incredibly helpful and effective, but also incredibly easy and accessible. So I don't know about you, but this time lately has been just absolutely relentless in continual setbacks. And so getting through the day has been challenging and surprisingly intense. And the onslaught of having, day after day and week after week, that level of personal obstacles and oftentimes disappointments, as well as societal catastrophe and outrage, has really been overwhelming. And so some days, you just want to give up because it is just too hard to sustain that level of faith and courage and persistence in the face of zero encouragement and rewards or stability. And so it can be just hard simply continuing to be alive during this time of societal crisis that we are going through. And so, maybe it goes something like this, and you wake up and, the first few moments of your day, then maybe you feel cautiously hopeful. Okay, today is the day I'm going to turn things around. Maybe you make a plan, maybe you just dive in. After the first few things, then maybe you generate a little momentum. And so your faith and confidence maybe cautiously improve a little. Maybe today won't be like yesterday with regards to external circumstances or internal struggles. Maybe it'll all be okay. And then it starts, maybe you see the latest news, whatever inhumanity that the Trump administration is raining down on us, and your optimism and resilience begin to waver, and your reactivity begins to churn, and then the cascade of events just sweeps you away. So maybe you get an email that opportunity that you'd really been counting on is not going to work out. Maybe a professional rejection, and maybe you feel like you've been punched in the gut. Immediately you feel reactive, feeling worthless, feel yourself shrinking. Why did I let myself believe that it was going to work out this time? I knew it. Why did I get my hopes up? And now maybe you feel ashamed. Maybe you feel angry at yourself. Feel like a loser. I'm a failure. And, just feeling the words reverberating through your inner landscape. I'm a failure. Maybe inwardly feeling yourself collapsing in agony. And the pain is so overwhelming, and you get defensive and try to minimize the assault to your fragile self-esteem. Fuck them, they don't deserve me anyway, didn't want that anyway. You start to build that wall around you, and maybe vow to never put yourself out there again, never get your hopes up, not let yourself want things, give up, can't do it. You just want to quit life and just close the bedroom door and never come out. And since that's not an option, then you put on a brave face, carry on, not showing the inner bomb that's gone off, not showing how desperately that you're bleeding. And whatever you're feeling, maybe you stuff it down, you try and forget about it, file it away somewhere internally where it can't hurt you as much. Maybe reach for a substance or a habit that is familiar to try to comfort you and maybe make this thing a bit more manageable. Something familiar that you can count on. Maybe you dissociate for a bit until you can calm down enough to resume. And maybe this time when you come back, maybe like 75% of you is there. And, then maybe you get a text from someone you're close to, and, they're not willing to show up for you in the ways that you're needing, ways that you're hoping for or counting on. are the ways that you'd agreed on. And again, maybe you feel just awash in negative emotions. This time, maybe the punch takes the wind out of you. Maybe you can't breathe. You feel abandoned, feel alone, feel rejected and unimportant. And maybe start to panic. How am I going to be able to take care of my baseline survival needs? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Maybe your mind is in a panic, and maybe you frantically try to figure out a backup plan. And every time you get a little detail, then maybe your mind runs back to what am I going to do? And you just feel like running. And so, if this is what life has been like for you lately, then first of all, you know that you're not alone. I think there are many of us who are going through the same kind of experiences. Yeah, Michaela says, I know how that feels. And thanks, Aaron, also for being here. And, secondly, there is help. And so that's why I wanted to share this little short and simple practice that I learned from Wendy Palmer. And not only can it help you, shift out of the moment of that unbearable pain of everyday life, it could also help to shift your baseline experience of life by changing the chemicals released in your brain. And that is very, very powerful medicine. And so, when we get triggered, then it releases chemicals in our brain, such as cortisol, that shuts down our creativity and our big picture thinking, our innovation, our ability to take risks. And it makes us feel separate. It increases our isolation. And so we tend to tense up and pull our energy in and resort to strategies to try to control the world around us, to try to make us feel safe. And on the contrary, then we can use our bodies and our minds to shift the way that our brain operates in order to allow us to feel more connected and more open and more relaxed. And it won't permanently shift us, and it doesn't keep us from getting stressed. But it is like a micro shift that can help you to become more skillful in pulsing between our small reactive self and our more expanded and resourceful self, which helps us to see options that we just can't perceive when we're in the place of chemical shutdown. And interestingly, then inclusiveness is really key to this shift. And so when we get triggered, then we tend to feel separate and isolated and unsafe. And so we tend to respond not only by shutting down, but also by shutting out. And ironically, as I've talked about in here before, then this subtle energy shift that we do to try to make ourselves feel safer actually makes our environment less safe, even though we believe that we're creating more safety for ourselves. And so in this practice that we're about to do, then it really draws on the wisdom of martial arts. That when we expand our personal space to include others, then it is actually safer than putting up a boundary to exclude them. And so this allows us also to practice what we preach, because, as a community, then we are constantly demanding for more inclusiveness. And, we can't really do that as a community while individually we are continually practicing shutting people out. And so this also allows us to be in greater alignment with our vision and our values, which enhances our integrity, which then bolsters our personal power. And so let's give it a try. And so first of all, then I want you to think of something that is moderately annoying or hurtful. And then allow your body to do what it usually does in this situation. So as you bring it to mind and you feel the feelings of it, then maybe you cross your arms, maybe you pull your energy in, maybe you slump a little. Tends to be typically physically how we respond. We're feeling shut down. Martial arts have saved my life, literally. Yeah, excellent. So much wisdom really comes from the martial arts. As came from my Tai Chi class tonight. Aaron was also there. And yeah, it's just so incredibly wonderful. I think it's so crucial for us as a community to learn how to, instead of absorbing negative energy that comes to us, how to step out of the way and to be able to redirect it and to be able to respond non-violently and to not allow ourselves to get injured. So really, really key tools for living, I believe, comes from martial arts. Okay, so just take a few seconds to really get a felt sense of how you physically respond to irritation and to hurt, rejection, shutdown. Okay, now, very simple practice. Then just sit up. And as you inhale, then lengthen your spine and think up out the top of your head. Uncross your body and extend your muscles. And let your breath open your chest and allow yourself to feel physically uplifted. And now on your exhale, then I want you to think about something that makes you smile. Maybe kittens or puppies or someone or a memory that pleases you, makes you feel happy. And so as you do that, then allow your chest to soften your shoulders. And now look across to the far corners of the room, whatever room you're in, to the far wall. And I want you to push your personal space out to expand to that boundary. Just feel yourself growing and then equalize that expansiveness all around you to fill the room, whatever room you're in. And the final step is just to ask yourself, what would it be like if there was just a little more ease in my being right now? And that is it. It's literally a 20-second practice. So let's try that again. So on your inhale, sit up, lengthen your spine, allow yourself to be uplifted. You can touch the top of your head, allow your hand to pop up, smile. And on the exhale, let everything soften and settle. Bring to mind something that makes you smile, relax. Then look at the far corners of the room. Expand your personal space to reach these walls. Equalize that around you. And finally, ask yourself, what would it be like if there's just a little more ease in my being right now? A little more courage, a little more compassion, a little more joy, a little more gratitude. And just check in with how you feel right now. And just bring to mind the experience that you started with. And just see if you feel any different. If you have any broader sense of perspective or distance. So, when we use different muscle groups in our bodies, then it causes our bodies to release different chemicals that change the way that our brain functions. And so that shifts our experience of life, shifts our perspective. And again, it won't keep you from getting stressed, and you will get re-triggered again and again. But this is something that you can use that takes literally 20 seconds. And so every time, it comes up and you get re-triggered, then just do it again. And over time, then you begin to shift your baseline experience of life. Because to shift your baseline experience, then it takes about 3,000 reps, kind of at the minimum. And so, when you have a practice that only takes 20 seconds, then you can build up that kind of reps pretty quickly. And so you can even do a 5-second version of this. So it goes something like uplift, expand out, and settle. And the nice thing is, you don't need to force it or make yourself feel a certain way. And so much like the centrifugal force of the earth, then around us there is always a spiraling and uplifting energy that is going on. And so that can bring us up when we tap into it. And similarly, much like the forces of gravity, then there's always a softening and settling energy that is going on around us. And so we don't need to create these things. We just join with what is already there and connect with the balance that exists on the earth that we live on, which that in and of itself is incredibly healing, because a lot of where we are stuck as a culture is in our disconnection from the earth. And so our bodies can deeply relate to those kind of energetic cycles that are happening around us. And it also doesn't need to be self-generated, in that we can call upon societal and personal role models for assistance. And so, for instance, as we are expanding our personal space, then we can bring to mind figures like the Dalai Lama, or talked in here before about Nelson Mandela being a personal role model for me. And so, these are people who can include thousands of people in their personal space. And it is what gives them a lot of personal power and societal influence, because people can feel their inclusiveness on a visceral level, and it makes them feel relaxed and connected. And so, when you're in the room with them, then they literally change how you feel. And people are more responsive to what you have to say and less aggressive towards you when they feel connected in that way. And so if you are in a meeting and someone comes in the room, then you can practice energetically welcoming them into your personal space and see what happens, and see how you feel. And you can also practice building up so that you are able to expand your space into bigger and bigger rooms. And similarly, when you ask yourself, what would it be like if there were just a little more ease, or whatever quality that you're desiring in your being right now? First of all, you're choosing a quality that is not like you've never experienced that before. It's a quality that you possess yourself. You're just wanting to have more of it. But you can bring to mind people who represent that quality for you. And so, for instance, when I need to feel more courageous and powerful, then I often call upon Audre Lorde, because she really represents those qualities to me. And simply just thinking of her, even just for a moment, then it allows me to feel, even just for a moment, a little bit more like that myself, just bringing that to mind. And so it allows me to momentarily step beyond the limits of my habitual persona. Because if I just go with how I feel inside, then, that's the part of me that, just wants to hide and be invisible all the time, because it feels like that's the best way to stay safe. That's what my cultural conditioning was. And so bringing to mind people who really embody that. And, Audre Lorde is somebody who just so incredibly much embodies that in her physical persona. If you see videos of her, you can just feel her personal power, just in the way that she carries herself and the way that she speaks. And so the beauty of this practice is its simplicity and ease and effectiveness. And so, when we try to change too much, then we tend to create inner resistance and pushback. So like going to the gym, then we must build up little by little. And even just giving ourselves just a little time out from the usual landscape of fear and reactivity is itself powerful and frankly a relief. And so when our brain shift from reaction to resourcefulness, then all sorts of new options become possible that we couldn't previously perceive. So my computer is running out of charge. So give it a try this week, and see how you feel. And so whatever happens, then just keep shifting. You get re-triggered again and again. Keep going back, uplift, expand out, and settle. And so, post a comment on this video about any changes or experiences that you have, or any questions that you have. And if you want, more ongoing support or assistance or mentorship, then reach out by private message and let me know that you're ready. So welcome, Alistair and Daniel got a bunch of people here tonight. So thanks so much for being here and sharing your experience. Ah, Kayla says, feels almost like bloating.